Okay. So number 16 on lesson 38 looks like this. Now, a couple things to note about this. One, notice that we have an x minus 4 on top and an x minus 4 on the bottom. They will cancel each other, but that also means they will cancel each other and not affect the shape of the graph. However, that also means that there is going to be a hole in the graph at x equals 4. Because if we plug in a 4 to this function, the original function with all of it in all of its glory, if we plug in a 4, we're going to have 4 minus 4, which is 0 on the bottom. And 0 times all this is going to be 0. Everything up here divided by 0, no can do. So even though these two terms will cancel each other and not affect the shape, we do need to account for that somewhere by the time we get our graph, because there will be a hole right there. The other thing that we're going to want to do with this is, with this term right here, 2 minus x, if I'm going to come off to the side here, 2 minus x, if I factor out a negative 1 from that, I'm going to change both of those signs. Right? 2 goes to negative 2, negative x goes to positive x. Negative 2 plus x is the same as saying x minus 2 with the negative. And so we have that out front. Now, is this going to, okay, we don't have a negative x minus 2 on the bottom to cancel, so this is not going to, we don't have to worry about something like this, but it is easier to work with if we do it this way. So let's rewrite our function here as a negative 1 and x minus 2, and then we have our x plus 1. If we're trying to graph this, we need the basic shape, so I'm going to leave the holy part out for the moment. Here, x minus 1, x plus 2. Now, our basic shape here, we're going to have an x squared on the top and an x cubed on the bottom, which is going to reduce to 1 over x, but that's going to be negative. So the basic, so what's going to happen at the extremes is, as we plug in a very, very, very large x number, what's going to happen is it's going to end up being with a very large number on the bottom, under 1 as on the negative side. So a very large x number under a 1 is going to be a very tiny fraction. So we're going to be very, very close to the x-axis. And because of the negative, that means we're going to be here. So out at the end, we're going to be doing this, approaching the x-axis from the bottom. Very large negative numbers, the same sort of thing is going to happen. For a very large negative number, we're going to have 1 over a very large number. We're going to be very close to the x-axis. If we have 1 over a very large negative number with a negative out in front, the two negatives will cancel, and what's going to happen way at this end is that we are going to be approaching the x-axis from the top side. So now we just need to figure out where are our zeros and asymptotes, and take from there. If we do, let's do zeros in green. So where are our zeros going to be?
3.
No, that's going to be an asymptote. That's what gives us 0 on the bottom. Our zeros
2 and negative 1.
Here. So actually I should have done that. Hold on. So 1, 2. So we're going to have a 0 at 2 and another 0 at negative 1. So at negative 1, we're also going to have a 0. And is it going to cross or touch 0?
It's going to...
It's going to cross because it's x minus 2 to an odd power. So it's going to cross 0, x plus 1 to an odd power, meaning 1. Right? It's just to the first power. So it's going to cross 0, not just touch and turn around and go back the other direction. And brown for the asymptotes. We're going to have an asymptote at 3. 2, 3. We're going to have an asymptote at 1. And an asymptote at -2. So can't divide by 0. So any place the denominator is 0, we're going to have an asymptote. And at this point, we should be able to approximate or draw a rough sketch of the graph. If we are approaching the x-axis from the bottom side to the right here, and we don't cross the x-axis before we hit the asymptote, what that means is we're going to have something like this. And as we cross the asymptote, we're going to jump up here. Approaching the asymptote, we're going to cross through our green spot there and go here. Cross the asymptote, other side over here. Cross through the green. And then we're going to do this. And we are almost done, except we need to come back and account for our hole at 4. So if this is 0, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., -1, -2, -3. At 4, we are going to have a hole in the graph. And so at 4, we're going to have a spot right here with a little circle in it to account for that hole. And hopefully, check the answer before I get all proud of myself. On 16, we've got that part, come across at -1, and down here cross at 2, and we have a hole at 4. So we're good.